Welcome to the Museum of Anthropology. My name is Anthony Shott and I have the pleasure of being Director and Professor of Art History at the University of British Columbia. We are located on the traditional, ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam people, and it gives me great pleasure to acknowledge the gracious hosting and the collaborative projects that we're able to do with them. MOA's collections include large numbers of European masque and masquerade, especially those from Portugal and from Slovenia. And we are going to share with you today two examples of those masquerades, which are of special significance at this time when the European presidency is transitioning from Portugal to Slovenia. Masques and masquerades are important, and they express the difference and diversity of a country's regions. They express cultural identities and differences, and they often tell the stories of local stories and local histories. They express in one way the complexity, the diversity of the European mosaic, a mosaic that's composed of Eastern and Western Europe, the southern part of Europe and the northern part of Europe, the islands and highlands in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, Romania and Bulgaria, and of course in Portugal and in Slovenia. I want to thank the governments of Portugal and of Slovenia for working with the museum and enabling us to bring together these really important collections, which are some of the most significant in North America. And I also want to thank those two governments for inviting us today to share those collections with you at this important transition point in the European presidency. Thank you.
The Consulate General of Portugal in Vancouver has a long-standing friendship with the Museum of Anthropology, which possesses an important collection from Portugal highlighting our culture and traditions, of which we are very proud. This joint initiative with Slovenia, in the framework of Portugal's current presidency of the Council of the European Union, allows us to confirm the importance of cultural diplomacy in bringing communities and countries together. I am delighted that more people in our community will now have an awareness of some of the rich masque traditions of our two countries. Since British Columbia hosts a significant Portuguese diaspora, I would also like to invite them to sample through this video some of the wonderful Portuguese and Slovenian masks displayed at MOA. This taster will, I am certain, encourage everyone to come to the museum in person to view and learn more about the impressive Portuguese and European collections. It is now my honor to introduce Professor Nuno Porto, curator of MOA, who will tell you all about the caretos from the beautiful region of Trás-os-Montes in Portugal.
Thank you, Marta, for those kind words of introduction. I will be presenting you about the display at the Multiversity Galleries of the Museum of Anthropology, where we have installed two costumes, a Slovenian costume called the Kurent and the Portuguese costume, which is an example of what is known in Portugal as caretos. This is a complex costume. It's actually 4 different pieces: the trousers, the blouse, the mask, and of course the bells that would require some performance from the masquerade to make noise. And this is very specific from this village called Podense, in an area of Portugal called Trás-os-Montes. Podense, where these masquerades enact, are in a very remote area. In fact, very close already to Spain. And one of the important things about this is that we are talking of a mask which comes out during the winter time. This celebration has moved and it has appropriated Carnival, in fact. They are famous today. The caretos, the masquerade, is famous today because it's a very, let's say, a party-heavy carnival. What is interesting is that if we go back in time to when there was a very lived tradition of this masquerade, Podense is, of course, a very rural area, and the masks are male masks, and the male masquerade is, of course, a form of transmitting knowledge related to social relations. The purpose of the caretos is really just to make noise, to visit each other in the village, to taste each other's food and wine, and to reassemble social relations for the rest of the year. However, in the 60s, Portugal was under a dictatorship that lasted from 1926 to 1974. Many of these celebrations in rural Portugal had disappeared, had lost their intensity, mainly because youngsters were looking for a better life somewhere else between 1961 and 1974 because of the colonial war. In the end of the colonial war, which took place with the revolution of 1975, there was a sort of a shift in the sense that many of the immigrants returned. And with the return of these generations, the caretos returned as well, made that the caretos became an attraction to visit the area. And so they kind of got mingled with the idea of modern tourism. And last but not least, the most recent development of the caretos is the fact that they were classified as intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO. And this happens in a period where, of course, these areas are under a very strong renewal and revitalization, and where, in fact, what used to be and was initially a sort of a male club became, in fact, participated by the whole population. Today, it's a very ecumenical kind of celebration with not only younger generations, but also older generations participating, and men and women. If you want to learn more, you can, of course, also browse more of these objects in the Museum of Anthropology at UBC catalog online, the MOA Cat. And last but not least, you're very welcome to visit this exhibit. It's on case 97 in the Multiversity Galleries, where the Careto de Podense is side by side with the Kurent from Slovenia, which is a good pretext for me to pass the conversation on the Kurent to the Honorary Consul of Slovenia in Vancouver, Dr. Margaret Rudolph. And thank you.
Margaret Rudolph, your Honorary Consul for Slovenia in British Columbia. I'm thrilled to recognize 30 years of Slovenian independence. What an accomplishment. We are also here today to recognize European leadership in cultural traditions, looking at the Kurent and the Rusa. In light of this, I would like to recognize Portugal's presidency of the Council of the European Union from January to June, and now I'm proud to say Slovenia will take over the presidency as of July. In keeping with our close relationship with our European family, in 2022, France will become the president of the Council, and we look forward to working closely with all of these countries. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Anthony Shelton, who showed unfailing support for Slovenian culture at the Museum of Anthropology. And to Dr. Alexander Lorencic, director of the Ptuj-Ormož Regional Museum, with this warm and deep collaboration and kind donation from their museum to ours of the Kurent and the Rusa. And certainly the Vancouver Slovenian Society, without whom we wouldn't have examples of cultural and folkloric displays here in Vancouver. Thank you to all. And now I would like to introduce the next clip, which is a nice display of lived experience of these two traditions, the Kurent and Rusa, in authentic Slovenian villages.
Prav lepa je leskoška fara, prav lepa je leskoška fara, prav lepa je leskoška fara, še lepši je leskoški zvon. Bim bam, bim bam. Bravo, ja,
klobaso, jajci in nekaj drobiža. Med orači so najbolj prepoznavni pogoranci, v katerih kožuhi so iz zajčjih in kozjih kož. Kot izbiren lik so bili leta 2006 nagrajeni z Murkovo listino, kar je najvišje priznanje v Sloveniji na področju etnografije.
Rusa, suczy! Rusa, suczy!
I want to thank our presenters, and I want to thank Marta and Margaret for making this video possible. And I hope you've enjoyed the video clips that you've seen today, and I hope you will come to the Museum of Anthropology to see our varied collections, and you can find more about these masquerades in our book, Heaven, Hell, and Somewhere in Between, The Popular Art of Portugal. Thank you.